More now on developments in that Syria crisis. President Obama is preparing to deliver a primetime speech tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. He'll be making a case for both the threat of U.S. military action and signs of hope for a diplomatic solution. John Harwood joins us now from Washington with the latest. So, John, what can we expect to hear from the president tonight?
Well, Susie, I think we're going to hear a different message than we would have before this Russian-Syrian initiative. And that is, instead of having to plead for support in the country, which was plainly reluctant to approve military force and pleading with members of Congress to support him, he's able to go to them now and say, my policy has produced this diplomatic breakthrough. Keep supporting me, but there's not the same kind of urgency, and that's a relief to the administration, to Congress, and maybe to some Americans as well.
So how has this diplomatic track now changed President Obama's task tonight? You just sort of obliquely referred to it. What's different now?
Well, here's what's the same. What's not different is there's very strong opposition within the public to going ahead with this. There was an NBC Wall Street Journal poll that was released today that showed 6 in 10 Americans opposed the idea of going ahead. We saw those numbers reflected in the attitudes of members in Congress, members of the Senate. And so the president has got to try to encourage people to help him keep the pressure on. He's making the argument, and he will tonight, that the credible threat of U.S. military force is what's produced this diplomatic initiative, but he's going to make the urging Americans and the members of Congress not to undercut him by denying him the ability to threaten force if the diplomatic track fails.
So President Obama makes his case tonight, John, and then what happens?
What happens is, first of all, there will be a process of some sort in the United Nations. There were some fits and starts with that today, but the president consulted with President Hollande of France, Prime Minister Cameron of Britain, and they're trying to move ahead with international opinion and trying to rally an international coalition in the United Nations, NATO, other people, to try to advance this initiative. The votes in Congress are delayed. They were going to happen both in the House and Senate this week and next. Now that's not going to happen. But you do have the president making this case and then giving it probably a week or two to show that there's credibility and sincerity behind the effort. You did have the Syrian foreign minister saying today that Syria will acknowledge the existence of its chemical weapons and sign the chemical weapons convention. That's only a first step, though.
John Harwood, thank you very much. We'll all be watching tonight.